Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Now, in a recent judgment, the Madras High Court told the central government that it cannot use Hindi for any official communication with the state of Tamil Nadu. And for this, the court referred to the constitution and reminded the centre of the provisions of the Official Languages Act. And that's what we'll be talking about in today's episode of KYC, or Know Your Constitution. Now, what happened in this case was that S. Venkateshan, who is affiliated to the Communist Party of India, Marxist, and CPIM, and a member of parliament representing the Madurai constituency, he basically made a representation to the central government. He had requested for examination centers at Chennai and Puducherry for recruitment of CRPF Paramedical Staff Exam 2020, as no center had been notified so far. Now, this was in September last year. In November 2020, he received a reply to the representation in Hindi from the Minister of State for Home Affairs. Mr. Venkateshan then protested and wrote a letter to the Minister of State for Home Affairs, and he demanded that the centre should address letters to MPs from Tamil Nadu only in English. When he didn't get a response to this, he approached the High Court with a petition instead. Now, the High Court judgment in this case was passed by a two-judge bench. It had Justice N. Kirubakaran and Justice M. Doraiswamy. And the judgment actually began with the words, India is multilinguistic, India is multiracial, India is multi-religious, India is multi-ethnic, and India is multicultural. So the court basically spoke about Indian people, Indians having different cultural, linguistic, ethnic, and religious identities, and how these need to be protected. It spoke about how fanaticism is not good for any society, and that linguistic fanaticism is even more dangerous. It said, and I quote, as it would give an impression that one language alone is superior. Now, without naming any language as such, the court said that even though India is multilinguistic, it's a multilinguistic country, a few chosen languages are getting a princely status with enormous money allotted for development of those specific languages. It then came to the constitution, and it emphasized on the 8th schedule of our constitution. This schedule recognizes 22 languages. Initially, actually, the schedule only had 14 languages, but this number was gradually increased to 22 through 3 different constitutional amendments. You can see a list of these languages on your screen right now. But the court criticized this list as well in its judgment. Its concern was that certain languages which are being spoken by a few hundreds of people are included in the 8th schedule, whereas languages like Gondi, which is spoken by more than 1 crore people belonging to different states like Andhra Pradesh, Uttaranchal, Orissa, Madhya Pradesh, and Karnataka, isn't a part of this list. It also said that the central government should try hard. It should endeavor to develop all languages of the country so that these languages are protected and passed on to the next generation. Now, let me just give you a brief background. Let me tell you that in India, no language has been conferred the status of a national language as such, but the constitution does talk about an official language. Article 343 of the Constitution says that Hindi will be used for official work of the Union along with English. Now, English was actually supposed to be used for official purposes only for a period of 15 years from the commencement of the Constitution, but the Constitution allowed the Parliament to make a law allowing the use of Hindi beyond this initial 15-year period as well. But then came the 1960s, which saw agitations from the non-Hindi belt of the country, especially the one led by the DMK in Tamil Nadu. There were violent student agitations and self-immolations against imposition of Hindi in the state, accusing the language of being a tool of the Aryans to infiltrate the Dravidian culture. Now, in 1963, the Jawaharlal Nehru government then passed the Official Languages Act, providing for continuation of English for official purposes. Section 3 of the Official Languages Act is crucial for understanding this Madras High Court judgment as well. Section 3 specifically provides for this extension of usage of English, and apart from this, it says that English language shall be used for communications between the Union and a state which has not adopted Hindi as its official language. This section also accounts for a scenario for communication between one state which has adopted Hindi as its official language on one hand and another state which has not adopted Hindi as its official language. So the provision says that in such a scenario, if Hindi is being used to communicate between such states, the Hindi communication will also have a translation attached to it in English. Now, the High Court referred to this provision, of course, and noted that Tamil Nadu has in fact not adopted Hindi as its official language. It has adopted two languages formally, which is Tamil and English. Therefore, it asserted that the central government is also expected to respect the sentiments of the people. Now, the court also referred to the official languages used for official purpose of the Union Rules 1976, these rules have been made under the main act. But since these rules specifically don't apply to the state of Tamil Nadu, the rules actually name Tamil Nadu as an exception to these rules. The court categorically said, now the High Court said, that the official language of India, Hindi, that is Hindi, cannot be used for official correspondence with the state of Tamil Nadu. Lastly, the court also referred to Article 350 of the Constitution. This provision basically says that anybody can submit a representation to any officer or authority of the central or state government, highlighting any grievance that they may have in any of the languages used in the union or in the state. But the High Court now said that it does hope that the central government would seriously consider amending Article 350 so that people get back responses not just in languages of the union or the state, but in the same language that they've used in the communication. This is Apoorva Mandhani for ThePrint. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook.